Well, let me ask you a question on the topic of real estate. Squatters.
Yeah.
How does somebody protect themselves against squatters? And if they find themselves in that situation, what is it that they need to do? Because that's a concern that everybody coming here, you know, even in the States also, you know, we have a law that you got 7 years if somebody takes a piece of property. If your neighbor takes a piece of property 5 steps or you know, or 10 steps into your property, and you haven't done anything for 7 years, and he's planted trees, you've lost the right to exercise, to regain that piece. So how does it work here with squatters?
Yeah, we have similar rules like that. If somebody occupies a property for more than 10 years, so eventually he can claim some property rights on that. But just imagine having a property unattended for 10 years. So if somebody do that, it's because they don't really care about the property. If you're going to have property in Costa Rica, you have to look after the property. That's basic. But the squatters' problem is more located in certain areas of the country, more like in the Atlantic areas and in big farms. You will not see squatters invading a condo or a residential.
Right.
There's not such a thing. If they get into a farm, it's because normally it's a big farm. Maybe they think that the owner died or something like that, or the owner abandoned the property. And actually sometimes they are too self-full and they're able to stay there, plant and live for some years. But let's say they invade your property or your project.
Right.
At that time, as you do in the US, you don't have to go to court. You simply file a petition with the police and they will give notice to these people to vacate. If they don't do it, they will do it by the force.
By force.
Yes, and additionally, you can file for criminal charges.
Oh, really?
Usurpación is called. It's a crime to invade a property. Squatters is not an issue that we have in mind. We don't see with that in our law firm, even though we have clients everywhere.
Right.
At all. That happens more like again, really big properties. Which normally the group of people get organized and they invade at the same time. But it's not like in Spain that they invade a building that is abandoned, something like that. No. Here we have a system of law that protects property rights. It's a constitutional guarantee for foreigners and Costa Ricans. Again, foreigners have no restrictions to own property in Costa Rica. They can own it at their personal name if they want, or using a Costa Rican company, which is normally what they do. Again, it's practical for state planning. If you have shares of a Costa Rican company, you can put those shares in your U.S. living will. You don't have to do anything in Costa Rica. You can give powers or appoint directors to your wife or children so they can dispose of the property if you die. So the idea of creating companies is more like that, just to give more possibilities in case of different scenarios for asset protection and state planning, basically. That's very practical. But again, a foreigner can own the property just as a tourist if they want, and the law will give them the same protection as anybody else. The process is simple, especially in a project that has already been pre-approved. Look for a lawyer. That normally the buyer will look for their own lawyer to represent them on the closing, or at least to oversee the other lawyer's work. It's a very simple transfer deed, gets filed, there's some taxes to be paid, stamps and transfer tax, notary fees, gets recorded, and with that you have to start paying a yearly tax, land tax, which in Costa Rica is 0.25% of the value of the land, so it's very economical.
Understood. Let's talk a little bit about families moving in to Costa Rica. What about animals, the pets?
Pets are part of the family there.
That's a part of the
They have the same
family,
rights
yes.
as the Costa Rican pets.
How difficult is that? What's the process of that?
It's not difficult at all. First, there is no such a thing as a quarantine or anything like that. The animals, they get to Costa Rica and the owners, they take them right away. What you have to be very careful is to obtain the certain documents and provide them to the airline. Anyway, the airline will guide you in that process. They know how to do it, but basically is to get a certificate from your veterinarian in the U.S. that complies with the same rules of the U.S. Authorities. It's like a very standard form. They know exactly what you need, and this certificate needs to be stamped by the nearest Costa Rican consul. There are Costa Rican consuls spread through the U.S. and you can coordinate with them to have them. It's like a special stamp that they need to give to the documents to recognize that they have been properly issued by the corresponding authorities. With that, Costa Rica will accept that document as a valid one, and the certificate, they will show that the dog or the cat is covered with the vaccines and things like that. So just recommend that you start the process with enough time before you're planning to come to Costa Rica.
Right.
Because I know that traveling with pets in the US is very simple. It's how you crossing frontiers, you have health departments.
Right.
And if you don't do that, and you're able to get through the airline without going through all this process, then when you reach Costa Rica, you have
a problem.
Yeah. The same applies with the guns, for example. I know people like to carry their guns and they're used to that in the US.
Right.
Costa Rica.
Say somebody has a lot of people have a gun collection that they want to move to Costa Rica. What's the process on guns?
Yes, if you have a collection, yes, it worth the effort to do whatever the paperwork required. But if you want a gun because you normally
carry one, weapons, right?
Bringing one, I don't see that to be an advantage really, because here we have a good gun stores, and basically the gun stores will take care of all the paperwork involved. So
when you say, okay, so if somebody was to, let's say somebody did not have a collection for now, for this point, and they just like to carry a concealed weapon, you're basically saying they can buy a local gun shop here, they can buy their gun. What's the process of buying a gun here?
Yes, the stores, they are responsible. First, they cannot sell you a gun if they know beforehand that you will not comply with the requisites. For that, they need residency again.
Oh, so only a resident or a citizen can buy a gun in Costa Rica.
Yes, that's important because in this case, you need also a criminal
background check, right?
Yes,
right.
And it's also psychological tests. So it's something that you really need to do once again you have defined that Costa Rica is your place of living and that you have residency. And if you bring your own guns, you have to go through all the custom process that can be done, but again, it has to be something very special that you need to bring. If not, you will not save much because they will force you to pay taxes and duties on the gun that you bring, which are the same that the gun store will pay. So unless you have a collection or something like that, I don't see any practical purposes of bringing your guns to Costa Rica. It's not something that I would recommend.
Understood. How about hunting? There's a lot of people that have their guns and they like to go hunting as a sport. What does the laws in Costa Rica say about hunting?
Yes, we recognize that's a sport. There are special areas and special seasons where you can hunt. You need a license, as you do in the US. There are times in which you can hunt certain animals or not. I never personally been involved in that. With Costa Ricans, we're not hunters at all.
Right.
actually they don't have a good image here with all the ecological, environmental
Right.
image that we have as a country.
Right.
But again, that is not forbidden. You can do it. I have clients that they like to do that. But it's basically to get the hunting license and do it. But if you can do it, I recommend more fishing than hunting. but again, this
Well, listen, we do have world-class fishing here, so you might as well take advantage of it. You know, we were with a client the other day, and for the first time you know, we always go out and we see, especially in our areas, we're behind the Marine National Park, and we take clients out, and it's beautiful. I mean, I've done this maybe 100 times, and every time I go out, I never get tired. There's always something new. And, you know, we're very fortunate that we have whales that come and give birth, and you see the baby whale coming pretty close to the boat, you know, as a curiosity to check what's going on, and to check these funny people on a boat, you know. But, you know, we've seen dolphins and we've seen turtles. For the first time, we had, in the afternoon, we took the boat, we were coming back, and as we were coming back to Playa Vena, we stopped because there was literally 4 families of dolphins. Must have been, I don't know, 15, 20 dolphins, baby dolphins, big dolphins. And they were putting on a show for us. It was spectacular. I mean, you never see this anywhere else in the world. It was amazing. We were sitting in the boat for 15 minutes, and they were jumping. They were taking turns jumping and splashing, and it was just something spectacular. We really, really enjoyed it. So I totally agree with you.
I'm sure that many people come here for fishing because in
Yes,
that we're
yes,
famous and we have great marlin and everything.
I agree with you.
But very likely they may enjoy more this kind of
Sport.
sports than the actual fishing.
Yeah.
No, for fishing we have great, and we're famous for that, and we have all the infrastructure and travel agents and operators
Right.
to do the.
Yeah, well, you have world-class fishing here. I mean, we've gone out and we caught, you know, 2 sailfish, 3 sailfish. It's amazing. It's amazing. But getting back to the subject of hunting, for those who like to hunt, can a property owner, somebody that owns, let's say, 50 acres or 100 acres or 30 acres, you know, can a property owner go on his property and hunt? Is that allowed here?
That's allowed, provided that you, as I've seen that to happen, is when they breed their own
animals?
Their own animals, yes. Because the fact that an animal is inside the property doesn't mean that you're authorized to kill it. It may be that species is protected, or that time of the year, that type of deer cannot be hunted. So the fact that you have a big property doesn't make you owner of all the animals that are inside. So I've seen cases of people that has a property totally fenced, and basically they have their animals and they just hunt. Even I saw a case that somebody brought foreign animals to have their African.
What kind of animals are you not allowed to hunt? Give me an example. For instance, I've gone into properties where I see wild boar. A wild boar, you know, back in the States we hunt wild boar. Is that something illegal, or I mean, what kind of an animal would be illegal to hunt in your property?
There are lists. There are a lot of lists of endangered species, and that list is very, very long. And normally, what we hunt here are basically venados, deers. That's basically. I don't hear people hunting anything else than deer. So the rest of the animals, killing a danta, for example, or something like that.
Right.
It might be a wild pig, so you can kill.
Right.
But I would say the question will be not that much what you're not allowed to hunt, but the opposite. What are you allowed to hunt? Because the general rule is that the basic rule is that most of the species are protected in Costa Rica. We're focused on that. And
Right, right.
So basically, when you go hunting, it's more like hunting deers and
Well,
wild pigs.
and to emphasize on that point, you know, that's why people come to Costa Rica, to enjoy the nature and to see the animals jumping from tree to tree.
Exactly.
That's the beauty, that's the beauty, that's
That's the type of
sacred
people
here.
we're looking for.
Yes,
right?
yes, yes, without question.